The night was cold and silent, the type of night where even the moon seemed scared to shine. Inside a dark warehouse, Min Yoongi, one of the most feared mafia leaders, stood with his hands behind his back. His calm face never showed what he felt. People called him the Quiet Storm because he never raised his voice, but when he acted, no one survived. His men dragged someone inside, a small boy. Thin, soft-looking, eyes wide with fear. He wasn't a child, but he looked young. He tried to say something, but no sound came out. "Boss," one guard said, "he can't talk. He's mute." Yoongi raised an eyebrow, just a slight one. Why bring him here? "He saw us loading the weapons. If he tells anyone." "He won't," Yoongi answered calmly. Then he stepped forward and looked at the trembling boy. The boy held a small notepad in his shaking hands. He quickly wrote something. "My name is Yoonmin." Yoongi stared. Something in that name felt soft, too soft for the cruel world he lived in. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said slowly. "Don't be scared." But Yoonmin was scared. His fingers shook, his eyes were full of fear, yet his lips curved up in a tiny mischievous smile, as if he was scared but still trying to tease the world. It was strange, cute, annoying. Yoongi sighed. "Bring him to the mansion. I'll decide later." The guards looked surprised, but no one argued, and that was how Yoonmin's life changed. Yoongi's mansion was huge and quiet. Yoonmin was given a clean room, warm food, and clothes. Yoongi didn't lock him up, didn't shout, didn't hit him. This confused everyone, including Yoonmin. One evening, Yoongi entered Yoonmin's room. Yoonmin was lying lazily on the sofa eating strawberries from a bowl like a spoiled prince. When he saw Yoongi, he smirked and held up a strawberry. "Yoongi," Yoonmin said on a small board with a marker. Yoongi blinked. "Stop writing my name like that." Yoonmin held up the strawberry again, raised his eyebrows, and pointed toward Yoongi. He wanted Yoongi to eat it. Yoongi sighed. "I'm not eating that." Yoonmin stuck out his tongue. Yoongi almost laughed. Almost, but he controlled himself. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said, "why are you naughty even when you're scared?" Yoonmin quickly scribbled on the board. "I'm not scared." "You're not scary." Yoongi froze. Everyone in the country feared him. "But this small mute boy didn't. You," Yoongi said slowly, "are unbelievable." Yoonmin just smiled again, eyes full of mischief. That night Yoongi couldn't sleep. Why did that smile keep coming back in his mind? Days passed. Yoonmin started following Yoongi everywhere like a small shadow. When Yoongi worked, Yoonmin sat next to him, sketching cartoons of Yoongi with tiny, angry eyebrows. When Yoongi ate, Yoonmin poked his arm until Yoongi gave him the best pieces. When Yoongi tried to look serious, Yoonmin poked his cheek. Yoonmin was a storm, a soft, annoying, warm storm. One day, as Yoongi walked through the garden, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He didn't look back. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said without turning. "Why are you following me?" Yoonmin quickly wrote. "Because you feel safe." Yoongi stopped walking. Safe. No one had said that to him before. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said softly, "I kidnapped you." "Why do you still trust me?" Yoonmin wrote slowly this time. "Because kidnapping me saved my life." Yoongi frowned. "What do you mean?" Yoonmin drew a small figure and wrote. "People hurt me before. You didn't." Yoongi felt something in his chest. A strange heaviness, a strange warmth. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said, "no one will hurt you again. Not while I'm alive." Yoonmin stepped closer and gently tapped Yoongi's hand with his fingers, his silent way of saying thank you. Yoongi trained Yoonmin in self-defense so Yoonmin could protect himself. Yoonmin, being naughty, always pretended to fall just so he could land in Yoongi's arms. One day, Yoongi caught him for the third time. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said in a warning voice, "stop doing that." Yoonmin quickly wrote, "But your arms are comfortable." Yoongi's face turned red. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said quietly, "you're dangerous." Yoonmin grinned. That evening, Yoongi was sitting in his office when someone knocked. Without waiting for permission, Yoonmin walked in holding a blanket. He pointed at Yoongi's couch. "You want to sleep here?" Yoongi asked. Yoonmin nodded. Yoongi shook his head but still spread the blanket for him. Later that night, Yoonmin shifted in his sleep and slid closer to Yoongi, resting his head against Yoongi's arm. Yoongi whispered softly, "Yoonmin, stay as long as you want." Yoongi's enemies heard rumors that Yoongi had a weakness, a mute boy living in his house. One night, men broke into the mansion. Gunshots echoed everywhere. Yoongi rushed to Yoonmin's room but found it empty. His heart stopped. He searched room after room, shouting for the first time in years, "Yoonmin." Finally, he found Yoonmin hiding behind a bookshelf, small and shaking. When he saw Yoongi, Yoonmin ran into his arms. Yoongi hugged him tightly. "Yoonmin," Yoongi whispered, "you're important to me." Yoonmin looked shocked for a second, then blushed. He leaned his forehead on Yoongi's chest, his silent way of saying, "You're important to me too." Weeks later, the mansion was peaceful again. Yoongi and Yoonmin were on the balcony watching the sunset. Yoonmin wrote, "Why did you save me?" Yoongi took a deep breath. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said, "can I tell you something?" Yoonmin nodded. Yoongi held his hand carefully, gently. "Yoonmin," Yoongi said slowly, "I fell in love with you." Yoonmin's eyes widened. For a moment he couldn't move. Then he grabbed his small board with shaking hands and wrote, "Me too, Yoongi." Yoongi touched Yoonmin's cheek softly. "You're the only person who makes me smile," Yoongi said. "You're the only one who makes me feel human." Yoonmin leaned forward and rested his head on Yoongi's shoulder. The world was silent, but it was the kind of silence Yoonmin liked. Warm, safe, full of love. Yoongi left Mafia life slowly, step by step. He handed the business to his trusted men and built a quieter life, a life with Yoonmin. Yoonmin started therapy, learned sign language properly, and began teaching Yoongi too. Soon they communicated with hands and eyes so naturally that Yoonmin didn't even need his notepad anymore. One evening, they were sitting in their garden. Yoonmin tapped Yoongi's hand in a soft sign. "I love you." Yoongi smiled, truly smiled. "Yoongi," Yoonmin said softly with his voice, surprising Yoongi. A small word, a small sound. Yoongi froze. "Yoonmin, you spoke." Yoonmin nodded shyly. His first spoken word in years was Yoongi. Yoongi pulled him into a soft hug. "You," Yoongi whispered, "are the best thing that ever happened to me." Yoonmin just smiled, eyes full of warmth, and the quiet storm finally found his peace. The end.